Hey everyone, welcome to the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. I am Joe Sibilia. My next guest has a new record out on Golden Robot Records titled Hell California, which will be released on March 11th, 2022. He also has a new book out titled All the Devils, as well as a new YouTube channel, JPearlTV. He is the singer of the band Love Hate and has sang with Rat and LA Guns and is currently singing with Quiet Riot. My guest is singer, author Jizzy Pearl. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on our latest videos. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the show.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Yeah, with Joe.
All right, Jizzy. So you have a new book out, All the Devils. You have a right there. Got it here too. Look at that, two of them.
Oh,
I've got, this is your fourth in your series, right? Because I've got two of the other ones. I've got these
yeah,
two.
it's my fourth book.
Yeah. I didn't get the first one. I missed out on that one.
It's gone.
I know. If you find any under the couch or anything, let me know.
I don't want to go under my couch.
Okay. But you got the new book out, which I want to talk a little bit about. And I want to also talk about your new YouTube channel. What is it?
JPearlTV, yeah.
JPearlTV. But I really want to talk to you about your new record you have coming out. There it is right there, Hell California.
Right.
That's awesome. I've heard it. It's fantastic. I think it has that Jizzy Pearl sound to it. So anybody that's a fan of you or Love Hate or anything, I think is really going to dig this record.
Yeah, came out good. I'm happy with it for sure.
Yeah. When did you start making this record?
Making was kind of during the lockdown type thing, and so I had to record it with my guys via FaceTime, which was kind of a nightmare.
Oh,
But,
was it? What kind of problems were you having?
well, because when you're on FaceTime for a long time, it starts the streaming gets weird sometimes, so it would speed up, so it would catch up. It was, and if you're doing a solo and it speeds up, all of your ear isn't quite ready for the
Right.
chipmunk thing.
Right. So was this the first time that you wrote a record or songs this way?
All the songs are written in my usual way. I mean, with me on, and here in my Unabomber shack. But as far as, having not being able to go to Los Angeles to record, and I had two of my UK guys for my UK band, obviously couldn't go over there. So they flew their stuff in, digitally.
Okay. So did you write all the songs and then present it to the guys, or how did the writing process for the record go?
I mean, I pretty much put everything on a drum machine, guitar, vocal, everything. And then I have, the guys listen to it and then sort of play it better.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I can play guitar, but I'm not a guitar player.
So you need a real guitar player to play it.
Yeah, well, obviously to make it sound pro for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And then you signed with Golden Robot. Did you sign with them to release this record? Like, did you present the finished product to them?
No, I actually, I just sent them some demos on a drum machine, and that's kind of, I just closed the deal really fast, and it's not a huge deal, but
Sure.
No record deals are these days.
Right.
So they gave me some money to make the record, and let me make the record, and I gave it to them, and they, so everything came out great.
I've had Mark on this show. He seemed like a pretty great guy, and I told him, I said, if I was in a band, I'd want to be on his label, because it seems like a very artist friendly label.
Well, the cool thing was that certain other labels are very intrusive. They want to know what you're doing. They want to hear progress reports. because they want to make sure that you're going to deliver something that they want, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And Robot, on the other hand, kind of just let me do my thing based on, obviously I've made a bunch of records. And
Mhm.
so that was cool, you know what I mean? That trust thing. And
Yeah,
then it and then when I gave them the record, everything was fine. They dug it.
they loved it.
Well, I hope they loved it.
Did you, so there's 10 songs on this, I believe, correct?
Right.
Okay. Did you have more than 10 songs, or was it 10 songs and that was the songs?
No, you always write a couple more, but there's always a couple that don't make the cut. I mean, that's standard.
Hmm. Hmm. So going into, now you say this is it's not a huge record deal, but they did put the album out. They gave you money to make the record. Um, a release plan. Is there a plan to, when it is released? Is it like going to be strictly digital and CD? Are you doing vinyl? I mean,
I
it's
don't think I'm
different
doing
times now than when you
well.
first released your
This
records.
this is a CD,
You're right.
so I'm going to assume that they're going to put it out on CD. Uh, I don't know about vinyl. The thing about vinyl, I know people have a hard on for it,
Hmm.
but I'm not really. I don't really particularly care. I think it's
No.
more of a, you know what I mean? I think CDs sound really good, and I think that there's a certain portion of people that just want, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
surprised I'm not putting it out on 8-track.
Right. A lot of people are putting stuff out on cassette nowadays. That's
Again, why?
right. That's
I
weird.
mean, I don't think cassette sounds better than digital, honestly. The thing about digital is that you have to know how to record digitally. You know, there's tricks to make it sound like an old school analog record. I mean, your goal is to make it sound like a Led Zeppelin record from the 70s, or
Hmm.
you know what I mean? That thick, fat, warm analog sound. So if you know how to do it, if you have an engineer that knows how to do that, then you're golden, because Pro Tools is the way to go, obviously.
Hmm. And is that what you recorded on Pro Tools?
Mhm.
Okay. And did you do that at like a home studio or?
I have a home studio here, but I don't have my own Pro Tools rig.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's just one of those things. If I didn't want to become a knob geek, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Hmm.
know I have a certain skill set as far as recording, and that's good enough for me. And you get
Hmm.
really good mics, and you do it at home yourself. And like I said, you fly it over to Los Angeles, and he puts it in, and that's it.
Sure. Now, is there plans for touring to support the record?
Um, Not love hate.
Mhm.
I am basically booked this entire year with Quiet Riot. I
Yeah.
mean, we have a lot of shows, an incredible amount of shows. So unless I can slip in a love hate show every now and then, it's going to be pretty much QR for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Now, do you have the Love Hate band? Is that your, like, if you did a tour, is it the band that played on the record? Is it members that played on the album, or do you have a
It
different
would
live band?
be. I have two separate bands. I have a Los Angeles based band for US gigs, and I have a UK band when I go tour over there. It's just
Hmm.
it's I always wanted to do it that way, and it's more financially feasible.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say
And,
that.
you know what I mean? And I'm a big fan of the UK, and so my UK guys, we get along great, and it's just easier. I go over there, and it's great.
Hmm. Yeah. That's something I learned on this show talking to different singers, is that they would get called to go play as the band they were in, but all the promoter wanted was the singer, and then they provided them a band overseas.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of that. It's it's problematic. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You could show up and your band could be a bunch of,
Yeah, that,
you know,
I would think so.
you just don't know. I've always, I mean, I went before I ever got my UK band, we rehearsed digitally. I gave them all the songs, and then they videotaped themselves as a band playing, and I made minor corrections along the way. So by the time I finally got to the UK, those guys were pretty well rehearsed. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay.
But you have to do that. I mean, you can't just show up cold and
Right.
get some Spinal Tap scenario.
I would think that would be very nerve-wracking, not knowing what you're getting into.
I guess if you give a shit about your music, yeah. If you
Yeah.
don't give a shit, then who cares?
Yeah. You don't care what happens, but yeah, man. Um, when you when you're writing the songs, I noticed on your J Pearl YouTube channel, you go over songwriting,
My
which is very
tutorial.
cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Is that how you approach most of your songwriting, or is there different ways that you approach
No,
songwriting?
that's well. There's a standard way to write songs. I was on the internet. A lot of people have commented on that thing I just did, how much they, because I didn't realize how many people are, you know, living room musicians, how many
Hmm.
people have little recording things, and they're doing it for fun. They're writing songs for their own pleasure. They're not trying to get a record deal or anything. I mean, they're not
Sure.
delusional. They're just they're doing it to have fun, and they want to learn how to do it. And a lot of people dug my tutorial on it. And if you think about it, the way I explain it, it makes perfect sense. But it's like anything. It's like trying to tell someone how to do their taxes. When you break it down, it could be really simple, but at first you're just looking at this piece of paper in this spreadsheet and you're going, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. It's writing. So I think the biggest problem people have when writing songs is that you have to make your song about something. You know what I mean? You can't just, unless you're 19 or 20 and you're writing about partying and getting high and banging chicks. And I mean, because that's what you're doing. So I guess,
Right.
that makes sense. But if you're in your 50s or in your 60s and you're still talking about driving fast cars and stuff, it's just a little, it's a little lazy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I think, I write about stuff. Like if I see a program on TV that really affects me, I can write about it. You know what I mean? I can use that as subject matter, or something in my relationship, or if I wrote a song for my brother who passed away a couple of years ago, and it was really important to me. You know what I mean? I tried a couple of times to write a song for him as a tribute, and every time it came out sounding sappy. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It
Hmm.
sounded like it's just like Home Sweet Home from Motley Crue or something.
Hmm.
It sounded goofy for me.
Hmm.
And I finally did it. I finally got what I wanted, and I was so happy I was able to put it in a song. And it's just a tribute to him. It's about him and me, and he was my only brother. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's heartfelt, but it's not. Every rose has its thorn.
Hmm.
It's direct and to the point. And yeah, that's one of my favorite songs on this new record.
Okay. What song is that?
It's called "Hard to Say Goodbye."
Okay. Okay. That's not, I don't have the track titles in front of me, but you have one that is almost a ballad on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called "Last Chance."
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that song is kind of me being nihilistic. This is my last chance for this relationship, but I'm going to screw it up. I know I'm going to screw it up, and it's kind of a nihilistic view on love, I guess.
Hmm. Okay.
So again, it isn't a love ballad. It's more of a anti.
Right. Right. I don't think I recall ever hearing you really sing a ballad. Have you?
I usually have something like on my Frontiers record. I wrote a song called "Better Days,"
Hmm.
which is in that tutorial on my
Yeah.
JPearlTV. I do write ballads. It's just they're rare.
Yeah.
you know, I do have a stigma about the idea of the anthem ballad. And I guess it's just because it was so overdone in the 80s. And I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of part of the clichéness
Right.
of here's your ballad, here's your single, you know what I mean? The chicks will dig this one, you know, your hair has to be perfect. It's just kind of all that old 80s nonsense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you released 3 singles off this so far before the album is released. Is that that's kind of a new process, right? Because before a band would put a song out before the album came out, but then the album would come out and then you'd see a couple more singles. Nowadays,
You
with the way
know,
things are, it's a little
yeah.
different.
I mean, I don't have any expertise in
Mm-hmm.
how things are done in 2022. So I just let the robot kind of do its thing. And you know, and it's been good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know how people are on the internet. They hate everything. And nobody hates these songs, which
Right.
is, you know, alarming.
No, they're great songs. And like I said, I mean, your voice is still so strong too. I mean, you take care of yourself. I've
I
got to,
do.
right?
I do. You know, I mean, I and I'm lucky. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know, was it Roger Daltrey just turned 75 or 78 years old,
Hmm.
and I was a huge fan. And you know, he's 75 years old. He's not the Baba O'Reilly guy anymore. You know, he's
Right.
still a rock god to me, but you know, he's had to bow somewhat to Father Time,
Yeah.
and I am fighting Father Time as long as I can. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work. I rehearsed today, you know what I mean? It's exercise, it's cardio, it's running, it's rehearsal. And it's what I've always done.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the reason other people aren't quite, their YouTube videos aren't quite up to snuff is maybe they should, you know, stop phoning it in.
Right. Right. And nowadays, I mean, any performance you do is probably on film somewhere.
Every time you get on stage,
Yeah.
it could possibly be your last. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
I've seen some really bad videos out there, and it's really, I mean, because now I've sort of become a devotee of YouTube. I got my YouTube channel now, and so I've paid extra attention to the idea of always being on video.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, like to the fact of making sure that your hair looks okay. I mean, just all that dumb stuff that
Yeah.
chicks would normally do.
Right.
You know,
Right.
chicks would normally, this is my best side.
How do I look?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds silly, but yeah, I mean, people are funny that way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to really kind of pay attention to
Yeah.
the optics of it all.
Yeah. And the stuff you sing isn't easy to sing, I could imagine. I mean, I'm not a singer, I'm a bass player, so I don't know a lot
I
about
see the
singing.
bass right there.
Yeah, it's my Spectre. My better one's up here. It's hanging on the wall. But you know, I had Rudy Sarzo on the show last week, and we were talking
Right.
about you. And we were talking about Kevin's vocals and how you nail his vocals. I mean, that's not easy stuff to sing.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It's not easy. I mean, in the
Mm-hmm.
love-hate stuff, even my old stuff from the
Mm-hmm.
Blackout days wasn't easy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I've sort of refused to do the tune down thing that
Right.
bands do at a certain point. You know, I've tried to stay, because that's what people want at the end of the day. People want what they've heard in their head and what they know, and they want to hear that on stage. And especially with Quiet Riot and stuff like that. That's why Rudy's return to the band is such a big deal. And it really is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying from the audience's point of view, because I see it every night. You know what I mean? He's got his own rooting section, his Rudy section, if you will.
Sure. Sure.
And because they are getting the Quiet Riot songs the way that they heard them in their head. from the
Mhm.
guy that, did it.
Yeah.
He plays a certain, he has his own, as you're a bass player, he has his own way of playing.
Yeah.
He doesn't sound like anyone else.
Yeah.
And as far as me singing and stuff like that, yeah, it's important for me to keep the bar up, because it just is.
Mhm.
I mean, there's you want people to come to the shows, and you want people to know that they're not going to get, a half-ass gig.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think sometimes people though are a little hard on the older bands, like the singers that still sound okay, but they're not quite what they used to be? Do you think they're a little hard on them? Because I mean, listen, they're
It's
getting
the
older.
internet.
Yeah,
I
they're
know, but
getting
it's the
older.
internet, dude.
Uh-huh.
It's the internet. I mean, it's just like I mean, people are shitty because it's fun to
Yeah.
be shitty. I mean, look, I saw a band do a video the other day, and I won't say who it is, but
Hmm.
they're a very famous band. And I was just watching it, and I was, because I had heard some of the comments weren't great, so I went on and I watched the YouTube, and on the YouTube comments, 99 out of 100 were, "Oh, these guys are amazing. Oh, they haven't lost its step, blah, blah, blah." But me as a musician, I was kind of more clinical, and I was just going, well, he's singing flat.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? He's singing flat on this part. I mean, okay, he's 60 something. I get it. But, and then when when the other singer came in for the big, you know, high part, I heard tracks. He was singing to a track. So it was
Yeah.
kind of like Madonna or Janet Jackson, or, you know what I
Hmm.
mean, Katy Perry, or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And there's people, I mean, like Elton John would never use tracks.
Hmm.
You get Elton John, you get what you get. And that's why he's so amazing, is that he has that old school showbiz thing of I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not
Hmm.
gonna turn this into karaoke. I'm gonna be the real deal. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I
So,
do too. I would rather see
people
that.
are
I would rather see somebody not nailing it, but singing it, giving it their best
right.
shot than a backing track.
Everybody, a lot of people, well, not everybody, but a lot of people use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, what are you going to do?
Right.
I get that you want the production to sound like the record, and you need, the angelic choir behind you and stuff like that. But for me personally, I am old school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do my thing and I hit those notes, or I try to hit them, and
Mhm.
sometimes I don't hit them. You know what I mean? But you're gonna know that the effort was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My foot might have fell as I tried to climb Everest, but
You're still going. But
yeah.
like I said though, man, you're still doing it. You sound great on the record. So kudos to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, the record's good. I know everybody says that their latest record is the best thing they've ever done, and I thought my Frontiers record was really good.
Mhm.
All You Need Is Soul, but I do think this one is better in that the songwriting is a little bit more cohesive, and it kind of sounds more like what I was trying to do. I mean, you'll know this. You're a musician.
Mhm.
What I did was I wanted it to sound heavier. So what I did was I did 4 rhythm tracks on every track. It's standard
Mhm.
across the board. And I used 2 Les Pauls and I used 2 SGs. And why I did that was because the Les Paul is Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, which, I'm a fan. And the SG is Angus Young, for
Mhm.
that kind of, that crispy back in black
Right.
uh, twang. And so I put those 4 guitars together, and the sound that comes out is really what I wanted. I wanted that Led Zeppelin 70s sound, but I also wanted that Mutt Lange AC/DC clean sound.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was on purpose.
Yeah. Well, good. The record comes out March 11th, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably in a few days by the time someone's watching this, or it's already out, depending when they're watching it. It's hard to say with these things nowadays. You don't know when someone's going to watch it, but March 11th, 2022, it's coming out.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So it's out or it's coming out. So let's talk about the book a little bit. This is your
Okay.
fourth. I noticed this is the thickest one too, right?
Yeah, you know, I wanted to do 300 pages. I wanted, and
That was the
I
goal.
almost, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, I wanted to make it more bookish. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like I've gotten better as a writer, and the stories in this book, they're not quite as graphic. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Some of the stories in my other books, because that was where I was in my life at the time, they're a little bit more shocking. They're a little bit more, you know, crazy, Black Mirror.
Mhm.
This book isn't so much mellower. It's just me being that, you know, I don't have to go for the fart joke. You know what I mean? I'm a better writer, I think.
Mhm.
So, you know, not that there's not fart jokes in
Yeah, I was
there.
going to say, isn't
There,
there's a fart story in
there's a
there?
couple. There's a
Yeah.
couple. I mean, Dutch oven is
Yeah.
a good story. That's well, anyone that knows what a Dutch oven is,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the part with the toothpaste and that pained me. I was just imagining that.
Yeah, no, the supermarket part was even
Oh,
better.
you know, one of the ones I liked was the weird old lady next door. That
Everyone
one
like,
gave me goosebumps when I was reading it. And some of the parts, yeah, I was like, oh, you know, it gave me goosebumps.
you know, again, I've said this before, but I was a huge fan of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
That's when I was a kid. I grew up watching that and The Outer Limits, but what the Twilight Zone had was he always kind of shocked you at the end. It was that unexpected, weird ending, that irony at the end, which kind of grabbed you. And that story that you mentioned is the same thing. That's, you know,
Mhm.
you're not expecting it. You know what I mean? You're not
Yeah.
expecting that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It is a good story though.
Yeah. I
It's
like that
actually
one.
it's based on this
Oh,
lady
yeah.
that lives upstairs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You should tell her.
I don't think she'd appreciate it.
Yeah. 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 You know, it reminded me a lot of, remember Creep Show, the movie?
Yes,
All the short stories that
yes.
reminded me of something that would be in a movie like that. You ever think about
Well,
doing something
yeah.
like a Creep Show film?
Um, well, I mean, at one time, my angst for the memories was gonna be a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was working with a production company. This was years ago,
Sure.
and I had a movie deal with IFC, Independent Film Channel,
Mhm.
and like 10,000 million other movie deals. You know, it fell apart, and contractually and blah blah blah. And but yeah, I mean, you know, sure. I mean, I think that my writing is suited for that sort of a Black Mirror type. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
episodic for sure.
Yeah. I would love to see it. Hopefully, who knows? You never know, right? One day
Yeah, I could be discovered.
you could be.
Yeah, I was always hoping to be discovered before my death.
Now, the three books before this one are like 15 years old, right? You wrote those a long time ago. 15,
Yes.
20 years old. Okay.
Hmm.
And this one, was this one strictly written during COVID times?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. I mean, I wrote it, and I put out the other books as well, because when I've always been able, like all musicians, to be able to work. You know, I mean, there was always apples on the apple tree. If you needed to go pick some apples, if you needed to work, you could always work. And
Mm-hmm.
this was the first time for all of us musicians that there was no work. I mean, you couldn't work. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't. You know
Right.
what I mean? And so what do? I mean, after you spend a month watching Netflix, I thought maybe it's time for me to diversify. I mean, I did record the record also, like a lot of musicians did, but I thought, you know what, maybe I need to have a plan B as a writer just in case. And so that's what sort of prompted the idea of writing the new book.
Okay. When you're sitting down to write a story, is that are you in the same process as when you're sitting down to write lyrics for a song? Because they're both telling stories, but just in a different way.
It's different. It's writing a story is, you get an idea, you get the kernel of an idea. For example, the old lady story. Or let's talk about another story. There's the first story in my book, my new book, The G Word.
G Word.
It's about these trophy wives that are married to rich guys that look like housewives of Beverly Hills, the boobs, the lip and jet, you know what I mean, the full makeup thing. But back in the 80s, they were girls that hung out with the Bang Tango and the Guns N' Roses, and and fooled around and had a bit of a reputation and stuff like that. But now that all this time has gone by, it's like they don't remember or don't want to remember that person that they used to be, and they pretend that they have this squeaky clean image. But in reality, and that's why I write about it in the book, and somebody gets one of my books and they're freaking out because if their husbands found out, that'd be it.
Yeah. That didn't happen though, right? Or did it?
Not well. Let's just say that it could possibly be based on real people, but anyway, I get the germ of an idea, and then I sort of flesh it out, outline-ish. Where do I want to go with this? What's the kind of beginning, middle, and end of it? And then I just bang it out in a couple of hours in longhand, and then I type it. And then comes the editing process. I edit it a million times. You know what I mean? And that's where the real writing comes in, because when you're just writing, it's just stream of consciousness, and a lot of it is really good, but you want to refine then afterwards and really make it a real story.
Now you did these books all on your own, correct? There's no co-writer or anything.
Yeah, I'm the only guy that actually writes his own books and writes his own records.
Yeah, because I love reading all the books that the Dirt and all those books. Those are all fun reads and stuff. But there's always somebody else writing for them, telling the story.
Well, it's somebody talking into a tape recorder. And then they give it to somebody, and that somebody transcribes it. I mean, everybody knows that.
Yeah. But that's all you. This is all you. Yeah. You do the editing, the formatting, everything, right?
Yeah, the whole thing.
It's amazing.
Well, it's I had to learn how to do my YouTube channel. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to do it, and the first couple of YouTubes are a little awkward, and you know what I mean, figuring out how to look like I'm looking in the camera now, you know what I mean? Just simple stuff that I had no idea how to edit, how to put it up there, how to avoid the YouTube police. You know what I mean? All that stuff I had to learn, and now I think I'm 10 or 15 videos in, and I get to, for me, it's fun. I get to talk trash. They're my Hollywood stories and stuff, but it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and it's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It isn't like that rock star movie. You know what I mean? It's that movie. I know people like that movie, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. That rock star movie is to music what Pretty Woman was to prostitution.
I get you. I liked it though. I liked the movie. It was entertaining.
But it's not real.
Not real. Yeah.
It's not
it's
real.
A movie. Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah. So what made you want to do a YouTube channel?
Well, I wanted to sell my book.
Okay.
I wanted to initially it was just a platform to sell my new book because I do podcasts
Mm-hmm.
and certain podcasts reach a certain audience, and it's it's a limited radius of reaching people. Period. You have a following, I have a following, and that's kind of where we are. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I expand? How do I get past that? And I just thought, well, shit, I'll just do my own YouTube channel and pimp my own book.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to put up all my old music.
Yeah,
See,
all your music's
a
on there,
lot
right?
of a lot of my old music isn't on Spotify because it's just jumping through hoops of fire with licensees and stuff, tracking down people that published your stuff years ago, and you know what I mean. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a hassle. So I just put it all up on YouTube on playlists, and so everyone can go listen to all my records, my solo records, my love hate records. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it is a good platform. And now I've sort of expanded my YouTube channel from basically just you know waving the book to include talking trash,
Yeah.
Hollywood stories, and I just did this tutorial, so it's going to be acoustic stuff as well, and yeah, I mean, sky's the limit, really.
Yeah. I mean, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah,
I love how
sure.
when you're editing your videos, I love all the little things you put in there, the echoes, the cuts, and that's
You
all
know,
fun stuff.
it's creative. It's being creative, I guess. I mean, and there are no boundaries. I mean, I guess I could be, you know, chastised by the silly police or something for certain stuff I do, but it's just, for
It's
me,
fun.
it's fun. It's fun, and it is. And also because I wasn't able to go to the UK, and I have a good UK following
Mm,
with my music, it was a good way for me to stay connected to them as well, because obviously COVID, I couldn't go. Now I can go over there, but
right.
I canceled several tours over the years, and I don't, I want to stay in touch with them as well.
Hmm. Have you done any of the live shows online? Did you get involved in that when that was all happening?
Oh, you mean the virtual things?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, again, I got sort of um, chastised for putting it down. I saw what everyone was doing, with the split screen.
Mm,
Everyone was doing songs and stuff, and I thought at first, okay, everyone's, they got a plan B. You know what I mean? We're going to
yeah.
stay connected to our fans, and then it it sort of became, I don't know,
Hmm.
over the top for me, a little too much. And
Yeah.
so but I didn't, in answer to your question, I didn't do anything like that, but other people did, and
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of bands
whatever.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever they want to do is fine.
Yeah. I've spoke to a lot of people. I tried watching a couple of them, and I honestly, I mean, some people like them, but I couldn't sit there and just watch it. It was a
Well,
little.
my argument was, I don't want to see Mick Jagger dancing in his living room. I want to see Mick Jagger as Mick Jagger.
Right.
That's all. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? See, it's funny how it's not being hypocritical. You can put down stuff and then you end up doing it 6 months later.
Right.
I see people do YouTube channels and I think, oh, I don't want to do that. And here I am doing it. So,
Hmm.
so it's, but that was my main argument, is that I don't want to see Brian May of Queen, who is one of my heroes, behind a computer playing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Hmm.
I remember him, from being that guy up on stage, and
Hmm.
that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you going to take your YouTube channel?
Oh, straight to the top.
Number one YouTube. You're going to have,
Yeah,
before I know
yeah.
it, you're going to have YouTube awards back there behind
I'm
you.
gonna be the new Pootie Pie. I don't know, dude.
You're just going
I
to
don't
go
know.
with it.
I just, again, um, Oh, there's a dog fight outside.
You could write about
Uh,
that.
yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just, like I said, I'm just doing it for fun, and I'm selling books, and I'm staying connected to people, and it'll turn into what it turns into.
Sure.
I just, I'm not trying to turn into some big Patreon, YouTube sensation. I don't think
Hmm.
that's going to happen.
Hmm.
But, like I said, as long as it's fun and games for me, and to do what I want, I'll do it.
Yeah. Oh, there was one of your stories on your YouTube channel, the red lips. That was cracking me up when I was
Oh, the
watching that.
sticky
The
pass.
sticky pass. Yeah. That's funny. You know, when I was a kid, how I got my pass, I didn't do that stuff. But what I did
Good.
do, I used to go to the shows early, and hang out by the buses where they would park behind the fences. And then I was out there with a bunch of friends, and the roadies came over and they're like, "Hey, you guys want some passes, backstage passes?" I'm like, well, yeah, we do, but what do we got to do? All we had to do was polish Metallica's rims on their tour bus. And we
Oh,
got then we
that's
got
fun.
back. Yeah, it was great. So we got backstage passes to the Injustice for All tour and hung out with Metallica. It was cool, just for
Yeah,
polishing
cool.
rims.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, I it some people might find it misogynistic, all the stuff that goes down behind the scenes with the girls and the guys and stuff like that. But it I didn't invent it. It's been
Right.
going on since the 60s or the 50s or the 70s. I mean, you know, it's there and it exists, and equal parts are participating in it. I mean, I don't anymore because I'm
Hmm.
married, but yeah, back in the day, I mean, back in my, you know, Caligula days,
Yeah.
it was good times, man.
Yeah. Well, you guys were a pretty big band. I thought Love Hate. I mean, it wasn't like a Motley Crue, but it was you guys. People
We
knew Love
were
Hate.
we had our time.
Yeah.
We had a small bit of fame,
Hmm.
in the States, and we got to do some really good tours. But in the UK, I mean, we were a little bit more famous. I mean, we were
Were you?
selling out 2,000 seater theaters, which is, that's something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I was on the cover of the magazines, and yeah, all that rock and roll excess, and the beer was so very tasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was good times.
Yeah. You talk a little bit about that in your book too, about the interviews back then,
Hmm.
right? What's it called? Who's up for an interview?
Right, 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 right,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Going to the radio stations. You were the one that had to go.
Yeah, hungover always.
Yeah. That had to be awful.
It's just everyone thought it was such a great, like when we were in Europe, I had to sit in a room and tell people about the new record and stuff like that. And other people were having lunch on the Eiffel Tower, or going to the Louvre. I wanted to go to the Eiffel Tower. I didn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You think it's some big deal. Oh, you're the spokesman and you get to talk to people, but it's not glamorous,
That's cool for
it's
about a
just,
week, right?
well, it's business, man.
Yeah.
And the record companies back then were they ground you for every, you know what I mean? They extracted their pound of flesh. They put a lot of money into tour support. And if you're opening up for Skid Row or Ozzy, those buses are expensive. And so they put you to work. Me and Skid, my bass player, we were
Mm-hmm.
basically the ones that had
Was you too?
to do all the interviews and stuff. But yeah, it was, but price of fame, I guess.
Right. Right. Did you ever get back to the Eiffel Tower?
I never did, and I never got to the Louvre either.
No. I went to Paris one time, and that's a long flight. I'm sure you know. But
Hmm.
I got sick as a dog as soon as we landed. So I,
No,
I
I
wasn't.
never. I went to the British Museum once, and I effed it up. Um, this is, I mean, this shows you how dumb kid stuff is.
Right.
I got into a mummy case in the Egyptian section of the British Museum.
Oh no.
I actually got into I don't know why, because I wanted to. because I had an Egypt thing, and I got into a mummy case, and they threw me out of the British Museum.
Sure. I bet they did. They probably weren't too happy with that.
No, no.
But how many people can say they were in a mummy case in the British Museum?
Just me and Tut.
Yeah, yeah. No, I went to the Louvre. I was sick as a dog, but it wasn't going to stop me. So I walked around that place sick, and then got stuck in the elevator at the Eiffel Tower. It started going
Yeah.
up and got stuck.
I mean,
Good
you know,
times.
I didn't get to do a lot of the tourist stuff. I mean, I traveled all over the world, but in later times, when when I was with Steven Adler, you know, and when you're, you know, you get to do touristy things, and we went to the Parthenon in Greece, and we got to do certain things because there was no record company, you know, big brother forcing you to do stuff. It was a little bit more casual. So you know, I've done my share of traveling and touring and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all good.
And you guys are with Quiet Riot, you're doing just fly-in dates, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what all of us do. I mean, some people do the rock and roll buses, but it's just smarter to fly from place to place and then come home.
Come home, yeah. Well, I'm sure everybody's got families now too.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I would imagine traveling on a bus is a lot harder nowadays too, right?
it's just more expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot of money. I like being on a bus. I mean, some guys don't because they can't sleep in the bunks because they're like coffins. But as you know, I like coffins. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. The thing about being on a bus, which is there are certain great things about it. First off, after the gig, you can just go to bed whenever you want. You climb in your bunk, you close the curtain, whatever. The vibration of the bus, of the generator, is very calming. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Magic Fingers. Remember that old? And I sleep, and then you get up the next morning. The bus is rolling. You walk out in the front. You get your coffee, and you're watching the landscape go by as the bus is driving. It's really awesome.
Yeah,
you
it
know,
sounds it.
Well, because it's Americana. I mean, I've seen America from you know, the Rocky Mountains to the Atlantic Ocean and back. You know what I mean? Through the huge picture windows of the bus, and it's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, Jizzy, I've been a fan. I love the new album. Actually, I was going through old stuff and I found this. I don't know if you've ever seen this. This was a Wasted in America promotional
promo,
copy. Yeah.
like a promo thing.
Yeah. So I found this. I don't know if it still works, but I don't have a cassette tape player.
Nobody does.
But yeah, Sony promotional copy. Huh.
Yeah, those
Not
were
for sale.
those were the days when there were record companies and radio stations, and it was just a different time. Now it's just different, you know. Everything's different. That's why sometimes fans of bands don't understand why guys like us do what we do, and they just don't understand that there are no more royalty checks. You know what I mean? That's gone. It's over. You know what I mean? And certain aspects of the business aren't there anymore. There aren't record companies. There aren't radio stations. There aren't this huge promo machine that's going to push a record. I mean, Robot does what it does. Frontiers does what it does. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it is in you know, 2022.
Yeah.
And so that's why guys charge outrageous sums for VIP meet and greets. You know what I mean? It's just because there's some of the forms of income aren't there anymore. You know,
yeah,
but
no,
hey,
it makes sense.
It is what it is, man. I mean, you know, you still gotta make music. You know what I mean? You still gotta to perform. You still gotta, you know, do what you have done. It's just, you know, you have to adapt to the new norm.
How, speaking of meet and greets, how are you guys back doing those, or are you still don't do those?
I guess it depends. It depends on we don't do them personally. We don't do the where you charge money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I know a lot of bands do, and I, you know,
Yeah.
that's up to them, and it's up to the people that want to pay the money. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not gonna cross that third rail again. But as far as for us and stuff, I think that, you know, we're fairly accessible. You know,
Mhm.
everyone seems to want to groupie down on Rudy a lot.
Yeah.
You know, they all want the selfies and the auto. I mean, because he is who he
Rudy's the
is.
man.
Well, he is the man. I mean, he is the man.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I, you know, but we're not, you know, doing that kind of paid meet and greet thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So again, the record comes out March 11th, 2022. Available on CD from where can they buy that?
You know, I don't know.
Probably
let
your
me
site, I would imagine, maybe.
let me say something before I forget.
Yeah.
My books are available at JizzyPearl.net, which
Mhm.
is the website, and that's where people can get the books. And JPearlTV is the YouTube site. I call it JPearlTV because my name apparently triggers YouTube. So,
Well, have you ever been to JizzyPearl.com?
you know, someone took that name.
Well, I typed that in before I realized it was the .net, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, it took me to a site I probably
well, it's just there's a squad. You know, there are people called internet squatters,
Mm-hmm.
and they take people's names and they try and sell them back to you.
Yeah.
And you know, people have been trying to sell me back my name for money, and I just, you know, I'm not interested in that. So
Yeah.
I just use JizzyPearl.net and
Yeah.
and JPearlTV for the YouTube channel. And again, you know, I mean, you brought up the tutorial. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that there were a lot of musicians out there that were kind of, you know, curious
Mhm.
and kind of got a little, you know, kick out of how does this guy write a song? You know, how does anyone write a song? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
No,
it
it's
was,
interesting stuff. That
I
kind of
might do
stuff.
some more of those, you know.
Yeah,
As
I'd love
far-
to see that. I'd love to see you talk about some of the other songs, some of maybe the love hate
Well,
songs, break those down a little bit.
I think I will. I think
Yeah.
I'll break it down and stuff like that. You know, I won't, now that I've sort of explained how to write a song or how a song is written in the traditional formula and stuff. You know, why do you do this? What's this song about? You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you know, my songs are about stuff. I mean, my songs are about things that mean something to me. It's not about, you know, the usual nonsense,
Mhm.
fast cars, chicks,
Yeah.
beer, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you this before we go too about the album and the sequencing. I mean, is that something that goes, is there a big thought process behind that kind of stuff nowadays? Or with, you know, the way things are on digital, people can just choose any song. Is it not as important?
I think, I mean, I always thought it was important to
Mm-hmm.
have a good sequencing. I mean, I helped obviously sequence all my records, Blackout, Wasted. It's pacing, it's flow. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want 3 or 4 songs in the same key. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because you know what I mean. You want to change it up, and you want to have a good beginning, a middle, and a bang ending. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I do think the list of the songs is important. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because I always think of it as a record, not a bunch of songs. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
want to listen to it as a record, as a complete record. So yeah, I mean, I think that it does have to have, I think flow really matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Agreed. I think so as well. All right. So new album coming out, books, all 3 of them. First one's not available.
Thank you for getting those books.
Yeah, man. Thanks for sending them. Thanks for signing them. They're all signed, right? Every book is signed.
Yeah. And you know, people have been buying they've been buying 3 books because the postage you save a lot of money on postage, and there's it's good to save money in these trying times.
Yeah, yeah. Is you still, how many more of these you have? You got a few, or are they running out
Like
quickly?
100.
Oh, so they're going quickly. Okay. So people need to go over there, get them. I'll put the links in the show notes, the podcast notes, so people can click on that.
And when they're done, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I mean, I'm
so pissed I missed the first one.
Well, I print up a couple hundred of them. Books are very expensive, to make. I make them myself.
I can imagine.
mean, it's thousands of dollars. It's, it's a little expensive. And when they're done. I mean, it's just kind of, now I'll move on to another thing, and so, yeah, if they want to get them, they should get them.
Yeah. You have a cool shirt up there too, I noticed, on your site. It's an old tour shirt, right?
Yeah, tour merch and stuff. I try and diversify a little bit. It's just when you're just, Jizzy, the treasurer, proprietor, I'm not down for spending $20,000 on something and then having it sit in my garage for 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat with me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. When is this coming out, by the way,
Probably within the next couple of days.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when it comes out.
Okay. Good conversation, my son.
Thank you, brother. And if anybody wants to learn more about you, they can visit the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show episode number. You were on 69, by the way. Jizzy Pearl on episode 69. It just ended up that way. But
okay. Yeah, good conversation. I enjoyed it.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. We'll see you.
All right. Bye.